That's right, you guys. It's a Tuesday edition of the Watch List. Jayar Jackson here. Of course, the Watch List is a show you guys don't know by now. You should know. We're gonna break down all the big, important, sometimes not important videos of the day, the things that you guys will be talking about or should be talking about. Because, I mean, come on, it's life. Don't you want to be in on the party? Don't you want to know what people are talking about? I know someone who does want to know what people are talking about. His name is David Shuster. Back for another Tuesday. Shuster, what's going on, man? First of all, Shuster also is a TYT contributor. Also, watch his videos on Rebel headquarters. The man goes off. He lets you know what's going on. What's going on, bro?
Jayar, I am, look, you lift my coolness factor in a way that so many people who know me would not even recognize. So great to be here as always. I can't wait for this show.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, your coolness factor, one of your other coolness factors, definitely the legend of Michigan football. Tom Brady has retired today. Are you crying? Do you weep a couple of tears? Or are you happy for him?
You know what? I'm happy for him. He's gonna have a better life now. He's not getting hit every weekend. But here's the thing. I'm one of those few people. I never saw him play professionally, but I saw him play in college. So how weird is that? The greatest quarterback in our history. I never saw him play a pro game, but I saw him play in Ann Arbor. That's strange. Anyway,
it's like having the rookie card, bro. You got him at the beginning. No one knew.
And back then, there was another quarterback named Drew Henson who was even better than him. And whatever happened to that guy? So whatever.
GOAT, he's the GOAT. Fine. We got the Michigan stuff out of the way because actually I could have talked about that much longer. I have a lot of thoughts on Tom Brady, but let's go to this instead because this is a little bit more serious. 31-year-old DJ Ferguson, he's in bad need of a heart transplant. Now the reason for this is because he's got this hereditary condition that causes his lungs and his heart to fill with blood and fluid, which sounds horrible. But sadly, he's not gonna be getting that heart transplant because he has not and will not get the COVID-19 vaccine, which is required for these types of things, this transplants. His family was talking to Tucker Carlson on Fox News about this situation, so let's watch.
It sucks because his nurses are amazing. They've been amazing to him. Yeah. His doctors have been amazing to him, but it's just having that dangled over our head at the very last minute after he had been through all the testing, after he received his letter saying that he was accepted onto the transplant list. It's just so disheartening that they would hang that over his head, right at the last moment.
You gotta wonder, I mean, where are all the decent people in this country who send money to Brigham Women's or who, sustain its worldwide reputation as a great hospital that cares about patients? Has anyone come to your aid? This is such a moral atrocity. Has anyone taken your side in this?
Not really. Besides, basically just the fundraising we've done for ourselves. We're both self-employed small business owners. And aside from that, no, we haven't gotten any help.
They're still looking for help in the situation when there's one option left. Let's go to some more details from the Fox News story here. The hospital told CBS Boston that its policy is in line with other transplant programs in the US that require the vaccine because it fits under the lifestyle behaviors of the candidates. The statement said that it's the hospital's goal to create both the best chance for successful operation and also the patient's survival after transplantation. Also, Dr. Arthur Kaplan, who's the head of the medical ethics at NYU Grossman School of Medicine, told CBS Boston that vaccination is necessary for transplants because the patient's immune system is essentially turned off. It's turned off. More from this as how bad this could be when you don't get vaccinated or in any circumstance when you try and get a transplant. The flu could kill you and a cold could kill you. So COVID could definitely kill you. I added the definitely part. The organs are scarce. We're not gonna distribute them to someone who has a poor chance of living when others who are vaccinated have a better chance post-surgery of surviving, is also what he told the station. That's Dr. Arthur Kaplan as well. So there's all these policies across the country. So they're looking for different ways to make sure that they can get by this rule. And he just doesn't want to. So Ferguson's father was talking about some of the thoughts that DJ had and reasons why he wasn't gonna do it here. Let's jump down to the graphic number 5 here. Ferguson's father, David, said getting vaccinated is kind of against his basic principles and that his son, quote, doesn't believe in it. Okay, I understand that. I think my boy is fighting pretty damn courageously and he has integrity and principles he really believes in. And that makes me respect him all the more. It's his body and it's his choice. I agree. It's his body, it's his choice. After outcry from his family, the hospital agreed to perform open heart surgery. This is this other part about this, and I want you guys to remember when, and I feel for this family. His wife said, no one is here to help us, and no one is trying to help us. Now let's read that graphic. After outcry from his family, the hospital agreed to perform open heart surgery to fit a pump that will keep him alive for another 5 years. That's 5 years worth of help, in my opinion. Maybe there's something that can change in that time. Maybe there's some change of heart that could happen. Maybe there's a thought process he can have where he wants to continue on and see his kids grow up, or at least as long as possible past that 5 years. So David, this is when we're getting the details of some of these stories where people have to make a life or death decision on multiple ranges. So if you do get the transplant, who knows what could happen to you? And if you don't, we know what's gonna happen to you.
This guy is literally one of the most selfish people I've ever heard of in terms of transplant lists. It's not about him, it's about his family. His family clearly wants him around for a few more years. And so put aside your own antagonism towards the vaccine, just get the vaccine so you can get a transplant. And the fact of the matter is, yes, there are a scarcity number of hearts and livers and everything else, and doctors should be trying to find those patients who've got the best chance of long-term survival. If this guy really loves his family, if he wants to stand on principle, then live to be able to stand on your principle. Don't put your family through this.
It's horrible to have to watch it and then see the circumstances that it does if there's not more on it. But he's got 5 years, and all I can hope is that he changes his mind. Now, you said he's probably one of the more selfish transplants people. We do have another story really fast within the same vein. A man in North Carolina, he's had COVID twice, and he's also refusing the vaccine, but he needs a kidney transplant. Let's go to the details from this guy, Chad Carswell. He's a double amputee, so he's already lost both legs. He's undergone major heart surgeries in the past, has kidneys that are only functioning at 4%, and he's currently undergoing dialysis 3 times a week while he seeks out a transplant. Now, many issues people have with transplants or getting them or trying to get to that endpoint is receiving the organ. That's not his problem here. His friends and local businesses in Burke County, this is again in North Carolina, have raised funds for the surgery, and more than 100 people have offered one of their own kidneys to the man. A lot of people love him. He said the last thing, now when the hospital and the doctors told him, we got to get this vaccine for you to take care of this whole situation, he said, the last thing we need to talk about is your vaccine status. That's what Carswell was remembering the doctor saying. And that's when I politely told them that there's nothing really to talk about. It wasn't up for debate, and I wasn't getting it. Then the doctor told me, you know you'll die if you don't get it. And I said, I'm willing to die. And last point, David, I was born free. I will die free. This is what Carswell told News Station. I'm not changing my mind. I've had conversations with my family and everybody that's close to me. They know where I stand, and it'll not be a situation that occurs while I choose to change, that I will choose to change my mind on this topic.
Wow, well, I give him credit for being honest, and he's gonna die. And at least he's sparing one of his friends who was willing to donate a kidney from having to have his own operation for a kidney that would ultimately be useless if the guy wasn't gonna get a vaccine and somehow got exposed to COVID. Again, it's another example of incredible selfishness. And I feel so badly, JR, for these people's families, because their families, why are you putting your vaccine and your antipathy against the vaccine ahead of the love for your own family? You're willing to die? You want to stand on principle? That doesn't do your family and your friends any favors.
I guess to a certain extent, I mean, because some people get sick of having multiple health issues and things that went through in their life, and they're like, I just don't want to be here anymore. And I understand that. And if that's part of it, I'm not a big proponent of like, as soon as someone says I'm having these thoughts and issues about not wanting to be here anymore, we go and assist it, right? Give folks some help. But he's been through a lot. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. I don't know what goes through his mind every day, but he seems pretty content. And as I think my uncle would say, if you like it, I love it. It's not my life.
Yeah, I mean, look, if he's had enough and he's lived his life and he says, you know what, I don't want to keep fighting this. I don't want to fight it with the vaccine. Then okay. And spare your friends from having to donate their kidneys and whatever. Okay, say goodbye. Say goodbye to all your loved ones and all your friends. Thanks for all your support. And that's it. Okay. I mean, I guess I can respect it. He's had a hard life. He just wants to say enough.
It's sad, but that's it. That's life. Moving on to this next story, you guys. The men convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery as he was on a run through a neighborhood in Georgia a couple years back, after they received their guilty verdict from the state trial, they're now up for the federal hate crimes trials. These are two separate things. They've already been convicted in one point, got life in prison as we knew about. Then they're up for this federal trial for hate crimes, and a plea deal was reached temporarily, at least, where it would have allowed them to serve out the first 30 years of their life sentence in federal prison and then finish out in state prison. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's a more lenient sentence, and the family of Ahmaud Arbery were completely blindsided by this. Let's watch the attorney for the family talk about how upset they were.
And the reason we turned down the first plea deal, a key component, was that they would serve their time in federal prison, which everyone agreed would be lighter and more accommodating, and an offer that we did not want to share with these men. And so for the Ahmaud Arbery family to successfully get life sentences for each of these men, and for the McMichaels to receive life without the possibility of parole, this is an example of the Department of Justice literally snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
So federal prosecutors were agreeing to allow this to happen until the family stepped up, and specifically his mother, and I'm sure other members of the family spoke out about this. But just one more detail about this as we go into some of the things the family had to say. Travis McMichael, 36, and his father, Gregory McMichael, 2 of the 3 murders, had agreed to plead guilty. Now, again, this is the federal crimes after they were convicted in state, admitting for the first time that they had attacked Mr. Arbery because of his race. This is, of course, strictly to get the plea deal. I'm asking on behalf of his family, this is what his mother said in response. I'm asking on behalf of his family, on behalf of his memory, and on behalf of fairness, that you do not grant this plea in order to allow these men to transfer out of Georgia state custody into the federal prisons where they prefer to be, is what Wanda Cooper Jones said. That's Mr. Arbery's mother. So specific details about the plea deals, they weren't included in the court filings in all this, nor was there any indication that an agreement had been struck with Mr. Bryan, who was involved in chasing Mr. Arbery, that was the third guy, through the neighborhood near Brunswick, Georgia, back in February of 2020. And lastly, what his Ahmaud's mom also said was she denounced the pleas. And in an interview with late Sunday, Ms. Cooper Jones said of the federal prosecutors, they went behind my back. I'm totally upset. My anxiety is through the roof. She said that federal officials had asked her earlier if she approved of a deal and that she had told them no. That's where we are. So we have a couple of guys, 3 of them, one of them that filmed it and helped chase, murder Ahmaud Arbery for running through a neighborhood jogging. And after being convicted in a state trial, we have a federal plea deal where the federal prosecutors were willing to go behind the family's back to give them a more lenient sentence where they can maybe live out their days a little bit more comfortably. That's just how it is here.
Well, I mean, a couple of things, and I come at this perhaps a little bit differently than a lot of folks might think, and that is, I generally I support plea deals because it saves courts time and resources. And if a defendant, in any case, federal state says I want to cut a plea deal, then I think a prosecutor should agree. The issue that I have is that fine, you can accept the plea deal, but there's absolutely no reason for a federal prosecutor to stipulate as part of the deal that yes, now you'll be moved out of the Georgia state penal system and into a federal country club. That is outrageous and that's absurd. So fine, the federal prosecutor doesn't want to tell the family, hey, we're going to accept a plea deal. Great, but you better make damn sure that they're serving out their sentence in a state where conditions are far tougher than they would be at a federal country club. Because for them to get moved to a federal country club where they could walk around and have a swimming pool and all the different things they might have at the federal penitentiary is outrageous.
And you wonder what the motivation is. And by the way, the judge, after these pleas from the family, specifically his mother, then rejected the plea deal. So they're going back and they have a little more time to decide what they want to do and decide the next moves they want to make to try and skirt some more responsibilities. But when you think about, okay, we've got folks that were murdered through racial animus and anger before, Dylan Roof specifically. And when families of the folks that were killed in that church came forward and were talking on camera and everyone was congratulating them for being forgiving, and it happens so many times from anyone who's the victims of these types of crimes and the families have to deal with it the rest of their lives. It's, man, they're so gracious for being so nice and they're forgiving and they say, I hope God has mercy on them and all this stuff. And isn't it great? Apparently it doesn't help because there's no points for that. There's no thinking about it later and going, think about what his family's gone through. Let's go ahead and make sure that justice is 100% and fully served. If you're gonna make a plea deal, as you said, David, cool, make a plea deal, save us some time and money, but make a plea deal, not a giveaway.
Right.
I don't
Absolutely. And that's the thing is, prosecutors, and I sort of wonder about, is there some sort of racism going on in the federal prosecutor's office who did this? Because no federal prosecutor worth their salt would ever agree to the sort of stipulation that the judge ultimately rejected. So I think it's time to start asking questions to the federal prosecutors. What is wrong with you? What is your problem? Even for a judge in South Carolina, even to reject it. I mean, it goes to show just how bizarre the federal prosecutors are who are handling this case, and what a mess.
Well, we hear a lot about activist lib judges, and I don't know, maybe the prosecutors are the same, but it doesn't look very activist or lib to me. It looks like they're worried about the fallout from opposing views. Before we go to this break, I want to go to one more story that I think it's serious, but it's light. It's Madison Cawthorn. Let's go to that. North Carolina Representative Madison Cawthorn. He might have a couple of daddy issues, maybe because he's not sure who his dad is. Let's watch this.
Quick rapid fire round, really simple questions. Now, I know you already expressed your support for both Trump and DeSantis, but what is the first word that comes to mind when I say Trump or DeSantis?
Trump.
Okay.
Trump's become like a father to me. I mean, I get to talk to him just about every single day. He's incredible. He's such a genius, especially when I'm trying to, because being 26 years old, obviously I don't have a ridiculous amount of experience with dealing with foreign policy yet. But so if I can just call the president of the United States, former president of the United States, and say, hey, what would you do in this situation? He can tell me exactly what the whole background is to it. So I love him. He's been very good to me, and he's been so good to our country.
It's a sweet story. I mean, he's got a father figure now who's willing to tell him about all the intricate details of foreign policy. A former president who knows all about foreign policy and was definitely listening to every briefing. No, that didn't happen either. A president who went overseas and represented America in a very positive way and made sure that other countries knew. No, he didn't do that either. What did Donald Trump do with foreign policy? Let's watch.
President Trump asked, who do you believe, President Putin or the US intelligence community? His answer?
People came to me, Dan Coates came to me and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
The venue was the diplomatic reception room. But this was a rejection of diplomacy. Donald Trump making the single most controversial foreign policy decision of his presidency, abandoning a deal that Europe had implored him to respect.
We cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement. The Iran deal is defective at its core.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
It was a little tough catching those last words, climate accord. I'm not sure if he had to pause to make sure to read that. Climate. Anyways, that's Donald Trump and his foreign policy. David, can you think of any other great moments? Maybe he had some good moments. Maybe I'm just forgetting. Maybe I'm a hater.
Well, he lifted up Kim Jong-un and North Korea when he didn't deserve it. So, I mean, the list goes on and on. The thing that's so ironic is we heard a name listed there, Dan Coates, which Donald Trump mentioned, the former senator from Indiana, who does have a lot of foreign policy experience as the director of national intelligence. If Madison Cawthorn really cared about foreign policy, he would, I don't know, call Dan Coates or call a James Baker or somebody who actually knows foreign policy. But the fact of the matter is they will not take his calls because they know that Madison Cawthorn is a joke. The only person that probably takes Madison Cawthorn's calls about anything is Donald Trump, because again, Donald Trump is like the Cliff Notes version of foreign policy. Regardless of whether you agree with the policy or not, you're not going to get any details. You're not going to get any solid background from Donald Trump, but that probably fits the intellectual capacity of one Madison Cawthorn.
Do you remember last week when Trump was, at least it was, I'm not sure when it was from, but last week it became more popular. Donald Trump came out at Mar-a-Lago and did the whole here. Cheer for me, right? This is why he takes Madison Cawthorn's phone calls, because then he'll go on shows like the Daily Caller Conversations, I can't remember the name of that show, and says, yeah, Trump is my new father. He's a father figure. I talk to him every day and he just enlightens me. Because this is what Trump needs. Trump needs people to continually feed his ego. That's the purpose of Madison Cawthorn to Donald Trump. Now, I guess it's an exchange, because I guess the purpose of Donald Trump to Madison Cawthorn is I get to push my political life and agenda better. I'm not sure how this is gonna help him. I gotta be honest, because the rest of the Republican Party, since the beginning of Donald Trump entering the race in 2015, hated him. They still hate him. They're just looking for a way to use him. I know I've said it before and I'm gonna say it every time. They just look to use him and try to pilfer his supporters, crazed racist supporters, for their own political careers, pushing themselves, but they don't want him around. I'm not sure if Madison caught that yet, or maybe he's one of the ones doing it. I don't know, but this seems to be the next step in making sure that you say, no, I can kiss his butt more. No, well, I can kneel better.
And I think you're right to point out there is a symbiotic relationship between Donald Trump and Madison Cawthorn, because look, I mean, Donald Trump, again, doesn't have a lot of friends, as you point out, and he certainly benefits from having people like Madison Cawthorn hang on every word that he says, even if it's ridiculous. And as for Madison Cawthorn, he also doesn't have a lot of friends in the Republican Congress, despite what people think. I mean, a lot of people in Congress think that Madison Cawthorn is an absolute joke, with the exception of the jokes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, a couple others. So he doesn't have a lot of people that he can turn to. So it's almost like Donald Trump and Madison Cawthorn belong with each other and are sort of helping each other in a weird sort of way that is hard for a lot of people to understand.
We've got more things to you guys that's hard to understand. When we come back, we're gonna talk about Ron DeSantis and his response to what we mentioned yesterday with those rabid Nazi figures out in Orlando. They were on the side of the corner yelling at people. We'll get to that when we come back.
We're very honest that we're progressives. We call the Young Turks home of progressives, and we support progressive candidates.
There has been this reemergence of political activism, especially among young people.
This weekend was the second Women's March, both across the US and across the world. So these people are not simply marching, they're not simply talking, they're also running for office. And when they do run, they're gonna make a difference.
Joe Crowley is congressman from New York. He's very powerful. Why? He raised a lot of money. But there's someone finally challenging him.
We need to have representation that advocates as fiercely for working class people as possible from this seat.
If candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez even get a little bit of media attention outside of what the Young Turks does, they have an excellent chance of winning. She's gonna win, she's gonna win.
68% reporting.
The majority of Americans want Medicare for all. So I don't care what you and your corporate cronies want. What I care about is what the American people want.
We believe in total change. Everything runs on donor money. And that is what we will fight, and that is exactly why they don't like us. We're having fun, it's election night!
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has defeated Joe Crowley.
Here we go again!
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Crowley! Down goes Crowley! Down goes Manafort! Down goes Cohen! Women came out in record numbers in the primaries. They said, you'll be lucky to get one candidate. We now have 12 that have won their primaries. Bezos and Amazon announcing that they are going to go to a 15-hour minimum wage.
We're making progress. Let's keep going.
Many of these women made history.
The biggest victories, all women of color. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, Sharice Davids and Deb Haaland.
And I want to go to Congress because I want to change those things.
I'm calling it. Jamal Bowman has won. Down goes Engel. Down goes Engel.
For a long time, we have not had progressives in power. It's going to be something to behold.
Welcome to the Happy Hour, everybody. After a week of soul-crushing news, we break out the good stuff. Good news, good videos, good people, and of course, drink good alcohol. That's the worst thing I've ever had.
This is the best show.
Full disclosure, we did do a shot right before the show began. It says,
let's look.
Flamingo.
Flamingo.
The reason you had trouble with that word is it's not a word.
Okay.
This is the one of everything.
I've got a rash. Could I just put it on that to see if it'll take it off?
What did you used to think this was?
Bull piss.
Drink it, swallow it,
No.
spit it. Oh, that's needed after a day like this. Cheers to Brett Ehrlich. Climax. Uranus smells like farts. Because of course it does. This is the worst sketch ever of a perp. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They found the guy. This is Sophie's super happy dog story of the week.
This dog is so precious and deserves the world. I'm just not drinking that beer.
Here's my dog. This is Onyx.
Yeah, I would just say that he's exotic because he's not your traditional dog. Yeah, still 12 out of 10 because they're all good.
Well, if that made you happy, just wait till you see the best thing ever of the week. There is a woman who moves like a horse.
Why do I want to go home and try this?
We're actually going to show you the running butthole challenge right now. What's happening? No, that's just wrong. Every way. And we'll see you next time.
Hey, Dave. As you can probably see, Skype froze. Froze and crashed.
You know, I'm watching that documentary on the Vietnam War, and there was a TV journalist in the middle of some tiny little village in Vietnam doing live TV as the soldiers were burning the Vietnamese huts, and it didn't crash. And that was 1965, and he was in Vietnam.
Right back on the watch list. David Shuster joins me. Thank you, David. Let's get to a couple of these comments because I'm sure they are all, we'll see. I haven't read them yet, we'll see. Maybe they said something mean about you. Let's go to a couple of CYT members. Shikata Guy Nye. I think I got it, Beer Dragon. I think I got it this time. So no country club federal prison for these racist off to the, I don't know if I can say that word, off into the general population in a state they go. I don't think their safety will be assured, you think? Of course, that's on the Ahmaud Arbery story. Mickey C, the silver hair dragon says, LMFAO, how low is the IQ of the Quinon Cawthorn when he thinks Trump is a genius? He forgot to add, quote, a very stable genius. Very true. Let's see, on Twitch, we've got Hunger Games 1989. They do realize that vaccinations are required for transplants. Even if COVID wasn't around, you still need your vaccinations. That's very true. And that changes everything. As soon as COVID comes into the conversation, all other previous rules that we all followed are off. And by the way, I forgot to mention that one story. They said he went through a bunch of tests, multiple tests, and he got to this point, and now they sprung this on him. If he went through all those tests, those were invasive enough. Why are those okay? Those things are painful and probably invasive and don't want to have to deal with those either. There's many things that you have to go through. Why that? Okay. And one more from Twitch, Kyle 8315. Jayar, what is that hat? The black and gold looks like Pittsburgh, but it doesn't look like any team logo I recognize on my small phone screen. It is Pittsburgh, it is the Steelers. There's a couple alternative ones that I have. I love this one. There's a steel worker. Can I see? There's a steel worker. He's kicking this football like a punter or a place kicker, and he's standing on a steel beam like he's working. So he's got a hard hat on. It's an alternative Steeler. He's a Steeler, bro. It's awesome. If you guys find these random hats, I'm all for it. Send me suggestions and all that things my way, and trust me, my wife will hate how many more hats I have in the house, but I'm gonna do it anyway. What else I'm gonna do is start this next story, you guys, because I've talked long enough. Let's go. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he was at a press conference talking and was asked a question specifically about the Nazis that showed up in Orlando over the weekend. And his response was how he just didn't want to be smeared. Let's watch.
So what I'm gonna say is these people, these Democrats who are trying to use this as some type of political issue to try to smear me as if I had something to do with it, we're not playing their game. You know, some jackasses, doing this on the street. First of all, state law enforcement is gonna hold them accountable because they were doing stuff on the overpass. So they're absolutely gonna do that, and they should do that. But I'm not gonna have people try to smear me that belong to a political party that has elevated anti-Semites to the halls of Congress like Ilhan Omar, that have played footsie with the BDS movement, that even have people in their party that have cavorted with Farrakhan. No, we're gonna take our record in Florida and what we've done, signed the strongest anti-Semitism bill in the country. We've stared down companies who were indulged in BDS like Airbnb, and we've won.
Ron DeSantis there. He's on this streak now of saying, I'm not gonna answer that question because you guys are just trying to be mean to me. You guys trying to set me up to say something like if I push back against bad people, all my bad people supporters are gonna dislike me. And if I say good things about bad people, then all you good people are gonna hate me. So I'm not gonna say anything. Well, you just answer the question, bro. We see the reasons why you don't wanna answer questions, and we see how much you really care about it. Let's follow up and find out what the law enforcement's gonna do about those folks that went on the overpass, since that's what you think think you're pushing and saying that you're caring about here. By the way, as I went through it, I kind of tuned out just because it's the same stuff over and over again. Then we got this Muslim in Congress. Did you know that? She's a Muslim there. I'm not gonna let you guys smear me. Let me go and smear them. Well, which one is it? Is it okay to smear people or is it not? Maybe just ask a question. I don't know. I know someone else that wasn't very interested in the conversation. It was Marco Rubio standing over DeSantis' shoulder there, supposed to be there for the support of Floridians, elected Floridians. Let's look at it really fast as he's talking. Take a little sip of my little drink here. Well, get that out of my mouth. By the way, just tired, just sick of this. It's hot out here. I hate it when Cheetos get stuck in my teeth too, but you can't really like pick them out on camera and stay just kind of swirl your sparkling water around in this. I got sparkling water this morning. Anyways, so that's Marco Rubio not very happy with the situation or bored like I was. But let's not forget, these Nazis that were out on the corner are the ones that he doesn't want to be smeared by saying we're gonna do something about it. That's one thing he didn't say. We're gonna do something about this.
No more Jews. You get some black power, you got white power here. White power.
You're live. 6 million viewers.
Say hi. Say hi. White pride's when you think it. White power is when you live it. You can shove that finger up your rabbi's ass.
He's a Jew.
He's a Jew. Look at him. Guess where you're going back to?
You know how we know you're a Jew? We can tell by how close your eyes are together.
I'm gonna go tell somebody about this. Let me tell my rabbi. What are you gonna do? Let me go suck some baby penis. It's a papa. What do you say? Let me suck the blood from the baby's penis like the rabbi does.
That's fun. And lastly, Dave, before I get your thoughts, Christina Pushaw, who is Ron DeSantis' press secretary, I believe. Yes, she tweeted and since deleted over this situation. Do we even know that they're Nazis? Or is this a stunt like the quote white nationalists who crashed the Youngkin rally in Charlottesville and turned out to be Democratic staffers? I trust Florida law enforcement to investigate and I'm waiting their conclusions. We'll wait too. I'm just waiting their conclusions. Maybe they will do something. I don't want to jump the gun. Maybe they're gonna do something. We'll see. But if they do, they're not gonna be very, citizens like these supporters of his aren't gonna be very happy about it because let's see this picture of these non-Nazis or maybe these Democratic staffers. Look, there's swastikas around the term "Let's Go Brandon." That's weird. It's almost like they're Trump supporters. It's almost like they're DeSantis supporters. It's weird how that works and how he doesn't want to be smeared by being asked about his supporters. David.
Well, excuse me while I take this thing out of my mouth. No, seriously, if this was an ideal world, Ron DeSantis' press secretary would be fired, and then DeSantis would fire himself. Because first of all, it's not that difficult in the world of politics to take some issues and say, okay, we're not going to smear the other side. We're simply going to condemn it. The spokesperson could have just said, you know what? I wasn't there, but we do not welcome Nazis in the state of Florida. And anybody who does this sort of thing who's a Nazi doesn't belong here and we condemn them. Likewise, DeSantis didn't need to make this about other people like Ilhan Omar or anybody else. He could have just said, you know what? We have a record in Florida. We don't stand for Nazis. We don't stand for anti-Semitism. I condemn anti-Semites everywhere, period. That would have been fine. He probably might have gotten some Democrat support for that statement, who knows? But he becomes such a jackass when he tries to make it about Ilhan Omar and tries to use his own sort of politics and makes it a political attack on people he doesn't like. And when a spokesperson questions the validity, I mean, this is ridiculous. Just condemn it.
This is the problem though, see, and I'm not sure how much you believe it, but a lot of people are saying it. But Ron DeSantis wants to run for president, and right now you have to make sure you launder everything you can of your image and answers and everything. He's basically saying, you guys, I'm gonna run for president. I can't have my answer to this be on anyone's political ads against me. That's what he's saying. So just say it. I don't want to.
There's a lack of. I think, Jayar, there's a lack of political sophistication that could actually harm DeSantis, because if DeSantis was really sophisticated, he would realize there are certain issues you don't have to play politics. You just sort of condemn it and leave it at that, because then you start to appeal to people who might be in the middle. But if he is like hardball every single issue trying to attack his opponents, it never stops. And I think that turns off a lot of people. And I have a feeling it also turns off some Republicans.
Probably, I'm gonna wonder which Republicans, maybe not the Nazis, but maybe certain other Republicans that think past direct and utter hatred. Let's go to this next story since my Rams are playing in the Super Bowl.
F the NFL. Yeah, totally. F the NFL. They're exploitive. They're anti-American. They're 1,000% woke. They barely even show the national anthem anymore. It's too touchy. And for entertainment, this Super Bowl, who do we have? Snoop Dogg and his friend Dr. Dre. Two guys who really love the slogan, F the police. Yeah, F the police. At this moment, these guys, one who helped coin the phrase, the other who sings it all the time, F the police. Now first, congratulations to the Rams and to the Bengals. Good for you guys. But in the meantime, this whole display is disgusting and it's beneath our country. They ruined the game. They ruined the game. I can't watch. Not with Snoop Dogg and his boys doing their disgusting nonsense.
That's Newsmax host Greg Kelly mad about the Super Bowl and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. Why do you have to do that? Anyway, so he's mad about Snoop and Dre performing at the halftime show, among other performers, Mary J. Blige also being one of them, at the upcoming Super Bowl in about a week and a half. And because one coined the phrase F the police, and the other says it all the time. Greg Kelly hangs out with Snoop, and he knows he says it all the time. But anyways, the anger and passion over how much he doesn't want to deal with these folks that maybe made a song that you don't like that says something about violence towards police officers. They shouldn't be performing at the Super Bowl, should they, Greg? There's this popular musician. His name is Bruce Springsteen. A couple of people, maybe you've heard of him. I think about 5 to 6 people in the world has heard of him. He made this song that was called State Trooper. Here's a couple lines from it. License registration, I ain't got none. Oh, he broke the law already. But I got a clear conscience about the things that I've done. Oh, he did bad things and he's okay with it. Mr. State Trooper, please don't stop me. Please don't stop me. Please don't stop me. Maybe you got a kid. Maybe you got a pretty wife. The only thing I got's been bothering me my whole life. Sounds like if a cop approaches this particular gentleman in this song, written by Bruce Springsteen, he's gonna get killed. Not F the police, kill the police. I was at a Super Bowl in 2009. It's really weird. And there was this guy named Bruce Springsteen. He was performing at it. And I was like, wow, Bruce Springsteen, never heard of him. I'm sure Greg Kelly will go back to all the Super Bowl performances and be mad at anyone who said anything bad about police officers. Or Greg Kelly will go back to just January 4th of this year and get mad at himself for saying this about police officers.
So I look at PTS as a badge of strength.
Some days better than others. Last week was very rough, emotional.
PTSD is very much like a roller coaster ride. Some days, man, I'm just good to go, and then other days or other times within the same day, I'm just broken.
When did it become fashionable for men to talk like this, and to exaggerate things like this? You know, they were all cops. It was a riot. Somehow they think that, I don't know, it was beneath them somehow. I mean, sometimes it's a tough job. People get hurt. I don't know. I just find these guys despicable, quite frankly. Something very strange about this guy. There he is in uniform. Look at him when he shows up on TV. He has this kind of gangster thing going with the weird hat and the big chain. Don't they have a dress code at the Capitol Police? I mean, he's representing the Capitol Police, kinda. Everybody knows you shouldn't dress like that. Has Finone been asked that?
How about you, Finone? Huh? You've been asked, hey, this gangster in his hat, what happened to supporting the police? What happened to the back the blue? I thought they were just police officers that we're supposed to protect. We're supposed to back up. David, you guys are, I can't believe you guys are destroying the names of police officers like Snoop and Dre.
Well, full disclosure here, I worked with Greg Kelly some 20 years ago and actually saw him 2 years ago he's a good guy, but he doesn't do such a good job of playing a bad guy on TV, which is this is an act. I gotta believe, based on the Greg Kelly that I know, he is just putting on this nonsense. He'll be the first person watching Snoop Dogg at the Super Bowl, but on his TV show, he feels like he has to do what Tucker Carlson does, and that is say crazy stuff, be out there, be controversial, call people despicable, whatever it is, because he feels like that's gonna get him some attention. But I think most people see right through it. It's a joke what Greg Kelly is doing. It's just that he doesn't realize that we're all laughing at him because he's not effective in pulling this off. I don't think he really believes this stuff.
I'm so glad you said it. I'm glad you said that because, and I'm glad you know him because there's many times where I speculate that, and I don't know the person, and I'll be like, this has got to be an act because it's too over the top. If you watch satirical, maybe movies or parts of there was a show I watched, Search Party, I think is what it was. There's a guy in Search Party who goes conservative. He's like a gay man who's a lib and everything, and he goes conservative to make more money, and it's an act. And I was like, I bet you that's 80% of them, man. I bet you that's 80% of them. But it's hard to just say, but it seems that way. This is too over the top.
And that's the incentive at Newsmax, right? Is to be even more sort of over the top than they are at Fox News. So Greg Kelly, he's a smart enough guy. He knows what the bosses want. He knows what this crazy audience wants. They don't want him to be pragmatic. They don't want him to say, oh, you know, as the son of a former police chief of New York, Greg Kelly, I understand that officers deal with PTSD. No, that would be too nuanced and show complexities that his audience doesn't have. He has to give them the red meat they're looking for. So he just sort of does this shtick, and it's sort of funny, I guess. Except I just don't think it's very effective. I think most people can see right through it and sort of laugh, but laugh at him. They're not sort of, it's sort of sad in a way. I mean, maybe that's just sort of the world that Greg Kelly inhabits now, that he feels he has to do it, but it's kind of pathetic.
Well, we've got one more quick, I don't know, maybe we won't call it pathetic, but we'll see where everyone lands on this story with Elon Musk versus a teenager. Let's go to that. Elon Musk, as everyone knows, owner of Tesla, SpaceX, smart guy, rich guy. He flies around on a private jet, and one teenager has found a way to track and show just how many trips he takes and how much of his footprint is left on the environment. And a deal started breaking down. Let's watch.
In addition to going where you want, when you want, it's your private jet, emphasis private. Even the FAA lets rich and famous block their tail numbers from flight tracking sites like FlightAware, so Elon Musk could fly privately with complete privacy. That is until Jack Sweeney created the Twitter account at Elon's Jet that tracks the world's richest man's plane minute by minute. Musk wasn't very happy, and he demanded Sweeney take the account down, then tried to pay Sweeney off. The account's still up, and Jack Sweeney is with us now. So you talked to him last Wednesday, and he went from offering you $5,000 to saying it doesn't feel right to pay to take it down. You think he's going to try to sue you or something, or what's going to happen?
I don't know. He got further blocking with his plane, a further step, but I can still track it. So how far it goes from here, but I can still track the plane.
These young punks can't believe they do so. Look at that smug smile on his face. Before we go to more, I want to see his face again, you guys, just because that was awesome. I know we're gonna come back up to some of the other graphics, but I just want to jump down to that third graphic there. I just want to see his face. He says, I can still track it. Anyway, Jack Sweeney's a 19-year-old freshman at Central Florida, University of Central Florida. He's a smart guy. He was the aerospace engineering. I took classes with aerospace engineering guys. They are very smart. I can vouch for that. So by the way, he talked about the transponders and the reasons why he can track them. But then Elon Musk reached out to him and offered him $5,000, as they point out there, to get him to stop it. And he responded, Jack then responded by saying, sounds doable. Account and all my help. Any chance to up that to 50K? It would be great support in college and will possibly allow me to get a car, maybe even a Model 3. Would love to help you out. Also, and after it was a while, I think it was several days. Mr. Musk, I'm still here if you want the account and help making it harder to track you. I also came up with some more solutions. Let me know. To which then Elon Musk says, later again, would you want to talk more about this over a call? Doesn't feel right to pay to shut this down. Okay, cool, some principles. And he says, I understand your view, but I hope that you would see my interest because I've been developing this since I was only in high school. options other than remuneration, like an internship, would make it taking down a lot easier. So there's our boy, Ribbon Elon Musk there. I don't know, is this bribery? Is it bad? Maybe he's exposing himself for like a bribe thing. I don't know, maybe this guy's actually on the side of this and he's gonna be the bad guy. Who knows?
I love this 19-year-old kid in Florida. Look, this guy's gonna have no problem getting an internship or getting hired anywhere because he's brilliant. And I kind of like the smirk. He's taking on one of the wealthiest people in the world, and he's doing it with what he said, like $100 piece of technology that he got, and crowdsourcing. I think some of the other aviators around the world who share this sort of data. So he's figured out a very simple way to do it, and he's got Elon Musk angry. I mean, good for him. I would ask for $5 million or $500,000 and then drop it down. And okay, Elon Musk doesn't want to pay, so be it. But good for this kid. I say keep going. And the only thing this is going to do is they're going to be copycats. Elon Musk's plane is going to be tracked all over the world by all kinds of kids because they love this. They should.
I think that's what Elon realized. He goes, I'm gonna pay him, and the other guy's gonna do it, and I'm gonna be paying everybody. No, can't do it. What we can do is take our last break before we come back and have more stories here. Greg Abbott down in Texas, not very popular at Trump rallies, and he has a way to fix it. We'll also read maybe 1 or 2 of your comments really fast. We'll see how much time we have when we come back in a couple minutes.
Sharp increase in healthcare insurance premiums next year in response to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic.
The country is desperate for Medicare for all, but the mainstream media will tell you nonstop lies about how people don't want it.
Between 5.8 million and 23 million lost their healthcare just during this pandemic. And Joe Biden says, no, I don't think that's an argument for Medicare for all.
How are you going to find $35 trillion?
They constantly misstate things, but without explaining that the current system costs at least $50 trillion. Every other developed nation has a single payer system, and they all pay less. In fact, on average, they pay about half of what we pay.
It doesn't matter if taxes go up, if your healthcare costs go way, way down.
The for-profit health insurance companies are simply a scam, price gouging you, and they're in between you and your doctor.
Look, guys, the good news is we're gonna win. We're gonna get Medicare for all.
A famous new author has a book out. His name is Dogen Uyghur. That's my dad. Okay, the name of the book is called The Original Young Turk, and it's his life story. I read it, trust me, you're gonna love it. He has such a straightforward way of telling stories that you're gonna be amused by it. It's like, well, then I met JFK, then I was at the White House, then I started a business, then I became Businessman of the Year. It's amazing. You're gonna love the stories, and it's part of what made me progressive. Check it out at shoptyt.com.
It is wrong to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
Look, I tell you guys, most important thing is voting in primaries. Primaries.
I hope every American will vote for the candidate and party of his choice, but vote.
We cannot continue to complain about corruption and complain about what's happening in this country and continue to vote for it.
Let's get it right this time. It could be a moment of redemption for what happened in 2016.
Back on the watch list, Jayar and David. Let's jump right into this. Apologies, I'll get to y'all's comments soon, hopefully. Let's jump right into this story from Texas over the weekend. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he had a bit of a weekend when he was out there to introduce Donald Trump coming into Texas to have a big rally. Aren't they all gonna cheer for me? Let's watch.
Please welcome the governor of the great state of Texas.
They're not saying boo, they're saying Greg. No, anyway, what they are saying is boo and you're a rhino and all that stuff. Greg Abbott did hear the message, and the one go-to, as I mentioned earlier, Republicans need to use Donald Trump to launder themselves and use their supporters for their own expediency. Suddenly, Donald Trump was on his mind over and over and over and over.
Are you ready for Donald J. Trump? Donald J. Trump is ready for you. Donald J. Trump loves the great state of Texas. And Texans love President Donald J. Trump. He is getting ready to come out here, and he wants to see you show your support for our President Donald J. Trump. Now, Donald J. Trump, he also...
Donald J. Trump walks on a Donald J. Trump, and he got out of his Donald J. Trump. So this is one of those instances when you want to make sure if people are booing you, you got to give them the thing that they won't boo, the last words that you said. So if they're booing me, if I keep saying Donald J. Trump, Donald J. Trump, if they're booing, then that means they don't like Trump. There's no way they're gonna do it. That's the plan. Did it work, David? Do you think it worked out for him?
No, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why are they booing Governor Abbott anyway? I mean, what, is he not right-wing enough? Is he not conservative enough? He's taking away voting rights. He's taking away women's rights. What are they asking for? But putting that aside, I mean, he must have been shocked, right? Because, to get that kind of reception and I mean, he looked shocked the way he was saying Donald J. Trump over and over. I think he was shell shocked by the reception that he got and just figured, all right, this is the only play. I'll just keep mentioning Trump's name. Kind of sad.
It's pretty sad. I have an answer for you. Don Huffines, who's one of his potential primary opponents, said he's not Trumpian enough. That's the problem. That's why he's a rhino. Let's look at this quote really fast. We don't have a Donald Trump as governor. We don't have a Ron DeSantis as governor. We don't have a William B. Travis as governor. Unfortunately, we have a career politician that's a political winstock, a rhino, is what he told us, this conservative political group. Huffines has been attacking Abbott as weak on immigration. Not tough enough, David. What is the answer, bro?
Whoa, weak on immigration. This is a guy who's been sending like the state guard, the National Guard down the border. The conditions are so bad, they've been committed suicide. I mean, this guy. I mean, I get the sense that for all of the folks in the right-wing world, if you're not Donald Trump, you're somehow, not conservative enough, or you're not crazy enough, and so therefore only like the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boeberts of the world, Madison Cawthorns qualify. Only the morons, and because Abbott is not always a moron, although just 90% of the time, therefore, okay, he's a rhino, he's a fake, whatever.
Well, as you said, he's tough on immigration. Here he is talking about how TikTok needs to be banned. Tougher on it because of these immigration issues and how they're pushing people to the cartel. Let's listen to this really fast.
The drug cartels, they're using TikTok to attract teens in Houston, in Dallas, and San Antonio to come help in the smuggling operation. And Texas is going to step up and take legal action against TikTok because they are being an accomplice to a crime of human trafficking.
So specifically, TikTok is the reason why the cartels are going. There's some background just to give you information in case you don't know exactly what he's talking about. Cartels have long used social media to shock and intimidate their enemies, said Howard Campbell, who's an anthropologist and drug expert at the University of Utah. That has proven to be an effective strategy, is what he said. The use of TikTok is just the latest phase in this phenomenon, but their organized crime strategy has shifted somewhat. Viewers no longer see bodies hanging from bridges, disembodied heads on display, or highly produced videos with messages to their enemies, at least not on TikTok, the popular video shared app. Anyway, so we got to shut down TikTok because of the cartels, because that'll end the cartels. Now, Donald Trump spread his hate on Facebook, so do many other people, and then they end up on the Capitol attacking people. They end up forming a militia saying they're gonna kidnap and kill the governor of Michigan. All these things happen on social media. So let's shut down this one because this will help, again, me and my political agenda, me pushing this whole thing. That's the point of this. But he's still too much of a rhino. Donald J. Trump.
Look, Greg Abbott, if he really is concerned about social media, take down your own Twitter page, take down your own Facebook page, take down your own Instagram page. Make sure you never allow your family or kids to watch TikTok because they're helping the cartels. Oh, come on, Governor. I mean, you can be a conservative, but don't be a stupid one. Don't be an idiot. Come on.
You know what, David? I've had enough of this anger and excitement and heart racing. I have some good news.
Okay.
Thanks for grabbing the ball for me. That's really nice. Can I get a hug?
I was knocking on the door. He was too scared to knock on the door. So
It's okay.
I kept on running away.
Oh, yes, a little boy returned another little boy's ball that fell over the fence. Hugs all around. Children are just lovely.
And if my kids can be half that gracious, oh my God, JR, I'd be so happy.
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. Teach them well. They're gonna grow up right. Up next is Damage Report with John Adirola. His guest is Michael Schur. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Geez, not even next week. Tomorrow on the watch list. And until then, I will be watching.